Hello everyone, and welcome back to Star Trek Honasto, a Klingon-based game of Star Trek adventures using the first edition rules by Modiphius Entertainment. My name is ELH the Game Master, and joining me are four lovely Klingons who will meet right away, because where we last left off was a bit of a two-parter cliffhanger. So we'll start with Steadfast Pig.
Hello, I am Steadfast Pig. I am Brigadier General Croc on the lovely Honasto. Where we left off, I was about to do an honorable duel with one of the Drin lovely commanders. Astiza, I believe, was the pronunciation of her name. So fingers crossed. I bring honor and not death to myself. So
yeah, well, that's usually the hope. Honor, not death, but there's honor in death. So
there is definitely not my preferred choice of honor for today. But hey, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. All right, Kern, you're up next.
I'm Kern, playing Captain Dagon and the chief engineer for the fleet, and I'm looking forward to seeing how I believe it was Colonel Murray. He was going to have a little challenge with the challenger of the planet. So it's either going to be a snooze fest or it should be exciting.
I think Maury was the one that fought the leader. What was the name? Lusas was
the number two. Oh, that's right. It's Akrak that's fighting.
Akrak's turn now.
Yeah. He fought. What was? Yeah, Lucis adjutant, right? He was the
adjutant. Yep.
Adjunct. Got it.
Adjunct.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And let's go to Donut next.
Hello, I'm Donut, playing Captain Hamas. And if Croc does, hopefully not death, no death or honor. As long as the death part doesn't happen, maybe I'd have to patch him up. We'll see what happens. Good luck, fam. You got this.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Monjadin.
Monjadin, playing Colonel Maury, the second great dishonor of this mission, having failed to defeat Lusas in single combat by deciding to be honorable and not pick the weapon that he trained with forever, celebrating another 60 days countdown until second edition comes out. Hopefully we redo this, but until then, fun times, honor reclamation inbound.
Nice.
All right, well, let's run that intro and then we'll get started. And welcome back. So since this is a two-parter, I'm going to do a little bit of last time on Star Trek Honasto. So the crew of the Honasto approached the Drin homeworld, a sort of pre-warp civilization that the Klingons aboard the Honasto decided to make first contact with. Because what is this silly first prime directive that the Federation has? Klingons don't have that. Klingons do what they want. But surprisingly, the Klingons didn't go in guns blazing. They actually did a sort of battery of tests against the Drin technology and what the Drin's response would be to an alien ship showing up. Long story short, the Drin launched a orbital craft with Commander Astizia representing her people, and it came out that the Klingons and the Drin sort of both agreed that they would have Astizia fight the Honasto's champion in one of the Drin's sort of combinatorial arenas. So rather than wait for Astizia to, deorbit from her craft, the Klingons decided, hey, we have transporters. We'll just beam into the combat arena area. And after a quick fight with a tiger-like beast and a centipede-like beast, the Klingons, Akrak, Dagon, Kanas, and Mori, all of you sort of squared up against the Drin that were sort of already in the arena. And Mori, I don't want to say foolishly, but Mori definitely hamstringed themselves by fighting adjunct Lusas without a batleth, and it didn't go so well. So Mori is perhaps shameful in this moment, but right where we left off there was kind of a sonic boom overhead. You all saw that orbital craft that Astizia was piloting sort of kept flying, and then dropping out of the craft in a beautiful 3-point landing was Commander Astizia herself, bearing not one, but 2 spears ready for combat. And that is where we're going to pick up, where as soon as Astizia lands and starts to stand up, the crowd of Drin in the stands erupt and start cheering and going wild and chanting Astizia's name. But Astizia sort of takes the 2 spears and, as if they were 2 halves of one, combines them into a single weapon, twirls it around, and then sort of points it in the direction of the away team and says, well, I am finally here. Had you told me you would have gotten here first, I would have pushed my craft even harder. But tell me, which of you am I to fight?
I'll step forward and pull out my my batleth, and kind of nod in her direction. I am the one that fights you today.
And what is your name?
I am Brigadier General Akrak.
And whom do you represent, Akrak? Do you represent this away team, your people, your ship?
I fight on behalf of the Klingon Empire, always.
Good answer. I like it. And she does another one of those neo-twirls of the spear as it comes behind her. Very well, then shall we duel into first blood?
Is that your way of doing things here?
Well, I have to give you at least somewhat of a handicap.
Incorrect.
My dude. Honasto is just kind of like, not again. Please don't be too cocky.
It is his decision.
It is, but...
And
No,
if
we don't
he's
fight handicapped.
But yeah, Adjunct Lusas kind of waves at everybody else like, this way, let's give them room. I have a feeling they're going to need it.
Sure.
And yeah, after the rest of the away team and the rest of the Drin that are in here sort of move to the edge of the arena, leaving Astizia and Akrak to square off one another, we are going to enter into a little bit of personal combat. However, since this is basically a major NPC, they have their own threat pool, so I am going to keep track of their threat pool on my threat tracker here, so don't be alarmed by that shooting up.
Copy.
And I also will say is that since this is a very important battle, we're not necessarily bound by I guess we're just rolling daring security until one of us beats the other. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let both Akrak and Astizia sort of approach this from different angles. So for example, Akrak, if you want to wait for a opening or wait for a good opportunity, you perhaps could roll a reason and security, or maybe even a reason and con, to try and discern that opening. Same thing with Astizia. Astizia might be reading your body language and looking for a sign of weakness via an insight security. The
Sure.
rolls will still be opposed, but it's not confined to just daring security in this instance.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well,
And then I still have, I remember I made a note of it. I have the advantage from fighting her for studying their armor and then for watching how Lusas fought. So will that come into play in lower difficulty ranges, or?
Yes,
Could I-
and it is your choice, since it is an advantage, what that means. So, kind of as an overview, you could lower the difficulty of a few tasks or a certain type of task. You could do more damage in a successful attack, or you perhaps could make it so that you are maybe a bit more not more fast, but maybe you are more aware of Astizia's limits and are able to dodge easier. Like, there's a lot of different ways you can do this advantage here. You just got to tell me what you want it to apply to.
Sure.
Would there be any way to lend assistance on this one? Like, hey, by the way, watch out for the right leg. Was it sweep the left eye? Boom, like give like a lend assistance before?
I would say that. Let me actually think about this for a moment. I would say that you can certainly assist with a presence and security, but there is a point where, since you are at the edge of the arena and the arena is pretty big, that it's kind of one of those things where you're basically in the stands. So it's like, yeah, hey, do this, do that, and it might get lost in the noise.
Gotcha.
Well, I was thinking more like, given that Mori already one of them and has like some very rudimentary understanding, maybe like reason security would be, I guess.
I mean, it is also kind of like a one-on-one honor duel.
But like before we go, it's like, just some quick advice, try not to do this, but then like melting into the crowd, the rest of I don't know if that counts for like maybe like a first strike or first use of a thing.
I tell you what, without any roll, yeah, let's have you do a roll, because you guys could use some momentum. So go ahead and, Maury, give me a reason and security, please.
Yeah, and bear in mind, it could be bad advice.
That's true.
Because I did fight and
Valid.
lose.
That's true. Like,
I'm gonna say bladed weapons focus happens because.
Yeah, definitely applies.
All right.
Well, the difficulty was a 1,
gave you
so you do get a
awful
momentum.
advice.
But there is going to be a complication. So, Maury, what's going to happen is you do give a crack some advice, like, hey, sweep the left, come down from the right. But that complication, I'm actually going to bank some threat for, which means, thanks to chat as well, Astizia is now going to have a total of 10 threat here that she can play with.
Oh God, I'm so sorry, guys.
Alrighty. It's
I'll
okay.
play a
It's
board
okay.
cube. You're fine. You're fine.
Well, we don't have to win them.
All right. So, there you go. And Kern, you can't redeem good powers for your own game. No, bad Kern. No. Nice try, though.
Good effort,
It's
good
Klingon
effort.
Q. It's Klingon Q. Q with an A apostrophe.
But no, so once everybody has vacated the arena for the most part, Astizia kind of does the literal gladiator movie and just sort of motions to the stands in a grandiose gesture and says, well, you've heard it, everyone. Today we are here to see just how honorable of warriors that this Klingon Empire, our guests from another galaxy, truly are. I believe that I hold the most highest of honors of our people to be able to challenge our visitors, and I thank you for that opportunity. I shall not let you down. And of course the crowd erupts in cheers, and everybody sort of goes wild, and all like the vid screens that you would see in like a stadium here on Earth, all the vid screens are zoomed in on Asizia's face, and it's a whole thing. But since we are in personal combat now, a Croc, since you are technically a player, I guess you are a player, duh, you do get the first action here. So tell me a little bit about what a Croc's doing in this instance.
Yeah, so we've identified that these kind of like tendril things or 360 things. So obviously it's not good to sneak up upon. And I'm assuming is she wearing some form of armor, like what all of them have been wearing?
Yeah. So her armor, and I guess for anybody who didn't see part 1, they are humanoids. So head, 2 arms, 2 legs. Coming off of the Drin head are 3 thick tendrils, very Medusan in design, that have eyes at the very end, and their armor covers not only their tendrils, their head, their entire body, but it also has a faceplate, so you can't actually see their faces. And also of note, at least on Astizia, there is an artificial third arm that sort of comes from the center of the back. And actually, as you watch her twirl her weapon around, is very much articulate and is able to sort of rotate 360 degrees.
Gotcha.
Wait, didn't the other one's third arm, was it like a natural third arm?
Yes.
Okay, so this one is definitely artificial, doing more than the normal third arm does.
Correct.
Does it appear to be like fully cybernetic, not like a sleeve or something, or is it just kind of a cybernetic extension?
I would say that based on what you're seeing and what you saw of Lusos, this more seems to be a cybernetic extension.
Okay, got it.
So it's not like a prosthesis, it's like extendable, like it's got... Are we seeing anything
Like
more
Dr.
powerful?
Octopus?
Oh, yeah.
I will let that run rampant in your imagination.
There you go.
Oh,
Alrighty.
man.
She's doing this thing where it's like walking forward, but if you get hit, it's your own fault. Whoa.
Yeah. All right. Well, I would like to, I guess, defer with the advantage here to take a more kind of a defensive posture, because it seems like Lucius fought very aggressively, and all the big stabbies and swingies. So I'm going to see if I can let her kind of try to do the same thing, but predict the movement to get a good counter strike.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, you want your advantage to be that you have a lower difficulty on defensive rolls.
Yeah. For see if we can just she goes for a stab. I do one quick counter and draw some blood and see what happens. Fingers crossed, at least.
Let me just make a note of that in chat. So, I would say in this instance, a croc, this isn't so much a daring security for your part. This is probably going to be, I would say, really kind of like an insight or a reason security. And the good news is that you're at a difficulty of 0 and Astizia's at a difficulty of 1. And basically what that means is the number of successes that you have on a roll is still dependent on how many successes you need to succeed. So, for example, if you roll 2 successes, then you have 2 successes. But if Astizia rolls 2 successes, since she was at a difficulty of 1, she technically only has 1 extra success.
Gotcha. Okay. And this is for like kind of waiting for the right moment to strike. Is that what this is?
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Would you accept battlefield management as a focus?
I would definitely accept that as a focus.
All right. And you said insight or reason?
Plus security. Mm-hmm.
Copy. Okay. I'll do 1 momentum for a 3rd die on this, and then using the focus. Ooh,
Wow, that is a
not
significant
too
start.
Whoa.
That is 4 successes. Let me see. How much threat do I want to spend for Astizia here? She'll spend 3.
Actually, you know what? That should be more than 4 successes.
I would.
If his focus is 5, chances are he should have 5 successes.
I see a 19,
Oh no, sorry,
a 2,
19.
and a 3.
19. Yeah, sorry, so it's 19. I was looking at it. I was seeing something else there.
Copy.
Never mind. I thought it was 13 for a second.
I was like, am I bad at counting? I was like, what's happening to me?
Nope,
Yeah.
nope, it's good. No,
All right,
that's
well,
actually- I
let's
thought
see
it
what
was-
she rolled.
pretty
She
good,
rolled a 2, a 6, and an 11. And a 10. So that is actually 5
10.
successes for her part. My lord, we have another repeat.
So we tied again?
Well, actually, wouldn't that be just 4 then?
4 successes, right? 'Cause she was a
no,
different-
because the 2 is a crit for her.
2,
So
3,
the
4,
2 is a
5.
crit,
counting
and then
5.
it's 6,
Right,
10, and
minus
11 or
1.
another success. So she's at 5.
Yeah.
So she would come down to 4, which is a tie.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right.
Copy.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. At least we tied.
So what I'm going to say then is, in sort of more of a narrative feel, a crack, you're sort of waiting for an opening with your Batleth, and Astizia sort of is doing the same thing where you're sort of circling one another, weapons at the ready. And then what happens is Astizia lunges forward suddenly with her spear and goes for a series of jabs across your dorsal plating, but you're able to bat it away with your Batleth and more or less get her to switch her grip up on the weapon and back off, but no damage to either of you has occurred.
So you just did a nice little quick parry exchange, yeah.
Yeah. So as you all back off and begin circling one another again, Astisius sort of laughs and says, I can see that perhaps some of you are more skilled than the one you had fighting Lusas.
A compliment.
Narrowing his eyes, shaking his head at the honesty.
I kind of nod. I'm old and killed many good warriors.
Well, if the Klingons are this spry and this exciting in the old age, then I wonder what your young warriors are like.
The best you've ever seen. All right, well.
Yeah.
I guess we'll run it again.
It's
I gave her the honor of attacking. I guess I will be the aggressor on the next exchange.
Okay.
I think I'm going to try to just go in, do kind of the same, the style that I defended, kind of attack from the same vector, but see if I can try to catch her off guard with some sort of a low sweep. I want to try to get her all of the arms kind of engaged in one spot, and then try to switch up the direction.
Okay, that's definitely going to be a daring security at a difficulty of 1.
Copy.
And then I'll let you roll first because it's more exciting that way.
Sweet. Let's do. I'm going to definitely do. Obviously, melee weapons here as a focus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do. How do I want to do this? Let's do. I guess 3 threat, 2 momentum. I'm going to go up to 5 die.
Okay.
Ooh.
Alrighty.
All right. 5 successes. So, do I make her roll her 5? I think I do, because I think it's interesting. So that's going to bring me down to 4. And I think, you would be at... So would you want to give me... Because you had 3 momentum, so would you want to give me the 3 momentum and then 3 threat? Because if so, I have 5 threat. Because you need 6 meta currency total for 5 dice.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yes. Just do it that way, because I wouldn't have known what my successes on the momentum were.
So
but then I go back up to 5 momentum.
Well, we have to resolve the roll because it gets
roll.
canceled out 1-to-1. Yeah.
Copy.
All right, so let me do a roll for her. Again, she's rolling 5 dice here. I don't know if her luck will continue, but we'll find out. That's a 26. That is very bad.
God.
Wow.
Well, that's a
for
1
her.
crit. That's a 2 crit. Those are 2 4s. Those are crits. That is
you really
9,
charged up your dice here, El.
That is 9 successes. 9, which means
wow.
I get 4
even-
threat back.
Even the 15 is a
God.
success?
Yes,
Wow.
she has a total score of a 16 on her daring
He's also
security.
a threat to the goddamn
Wow.
dinosaur. What the? Oh my god!
Yeah, that's crazy. There's nothing I can do about that one, gents.
No, there is nothing. So
That's just
You've
that's
been owned.
insane. But again, I think it makes thematic sense that she's the representative of her people, and she's putting on a show. So I guess here's what's going to happen. You're not going to be knocked out, but here's what happens. So you come in trying to engage her on her right side because that's the side that Lusas seemed to be weak on. And this is where that complication comes into play earlier, where you're favoring that side and trying to get Astisia's arms all engaged so that you tie up her spear, tie up her arms, so that you can then go to a switch to the other side and catch her off guard. However, what you fail to realize is that one of her eye stalks is actually sort of kind of up and behind her, looking sort of downwards at the battlefield. And when you go to switch up at a sudden movement, that eye stalk catches the movement before you've even really swung. And she not only is able to swirl her spear around and catch your bat'leth before it even strikes her, but she knocks it out of your hand up into the air. And then as it comes down, she grabs it with one of her other hands, and spear and batleth combined is going to swipe across your chest. Now, we have an option here, and I'm going to let you decide how you want to play this. We can either say that you are non-lethally injured, which means that technically first blood has happened, that technically you are out of combat. There are ways to stay in combat, but let me finish explaining what your options are before we talk about that. So first option, you take a non-lethal injury, you lose the duel. Option 2, we consider this to be a lethal attack, and I will even spend 1 threat to make that a thing. I will then roll a number of challenge dice, and depending on the result, you could be taking more than 1 injury, if an injury at all. It's kind of up in the air. But the difference is that would be a lethal attack, which means if you are injured, it's a lethal injury. So I'm going to let you decide which of the two you would prefer.
I mean, is there a way for me to continue fighting here?
Yes, and I guess we should talk about that. So, if you are injured, you have sort of 2 ways you can stay in a fight. Actually, 3, technically. One of the ways is that you could call over I.K.S and be like, hey, I.K.S, get me back up. And she would have to do a medicine roll, and could get you back into the fight, but you wouldn't recover your stress. You would still be considered at a lower stress, and you would still consider to have an injury, but the injury wouldn't affect you, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
The other option, option 2, is if you had momentum, you could have spent 2 momentum to avoid the injury, meaning you would take stress damage, but you wouldn't suffer the injury. Option 3 is a very Klingon way of thinking about it, but it's kind of a trap option, where you can spend determination to stay in the fight to avoid the injury, but the difference between a momentum spend and a determination spend, at least in first edition, is that the determination spend, if you take another injury, you're done. Like, done.
Interesting. Well, definitely don't want to lose the fight. Definitely want to stay in it, but also don't want to call I.K.S in, because then that breaks the sanctity of the honor duel here.
Does Bracklul lend? Does the Bracklul play into if he opts not to take it as lethal? Oh wait, no. Then he's out of the fight.
Then I'm out of the fight. Yeah. What if there's the option of fully accept the drawing of blood? I know this probably isn't how the rules work. Can I yeet my Doc Tog into her chest as I fall, and then they have to watch the clip back to see whose blood
photo
fell
finish?
first?
Yeah.
I like it.
Oh boy.
Fully accept the consequences.
How's your projectile? How's your projectile throwing stuff?
That would be controlling security, right?
Yeah, it would be control security.
It's better than my melee by 1. So just like seeing, she has to raise all of the hands up to catch the,
Wait a minute.
Batleth, right?
Hold up.
Yeah.
How do they know what color Klingon blood looks like?
Well, I feel like we're already too far past.
I think we're well, yeah. Did you not bleed at all during your thing? Might have had like some superficial wounds or something.
I don't recall. I think it was. I forget how it ended, but I'm pretty sure we did like either first blood or like getting knocked down. Either or. I don't recall. I leave it to GM discretion for that one. But
I would say that you maybe took a small cut or 2 just here and there, so they know what color your blood is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we can't say no. That's just bile. It's not first blood.
If you didn't get your butt kicked, I think we would have had a better chance of pulling that one off.
Look, Klingon lawyer. I am looking for the loophole.
That entire conversation.
I'm doing my job here.
That entire conversation, by the way, is totally in character. We just see I.K.S and Maury just debating the finer points of honor dueling. All right, so here's what I'm going to offer you.
They've gone snoring.
Here's what I'm going to offer you. You can throw or attempt to throw the dagger at Astizia and attempt to draw first blood on her at the same time it happens on you. However, if you do this, I am going to say that it will be a lethal injury, which doesn't kill you right away. You can be treated, but this will be considered a lethal injury, which means I am going to roll for damage instead.
Yep. I'm okay
It
with
really
this.
seems like there's no victorious way for him to win this here. Might as well at least.
Right, yeah,
There
grasp
is,
it.
there is none. There is none.
Yeah.
The challenge
Yeah,
was
so-
to the first blood. So
Yeah.
Accept dishonor or go down fighting with one last shot. I say go for it, man.
there's no-
Yeah, I'm gonna
there's
go
no
for it.
dishonor.
Maybe
There's
maybe
no
there's
dishonor.
no dishonor here. It's an honor duel, and even if I lose in an honor duel, it's still fine. But we want to win because that's cool.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's do your roll first. Again, this is
Okay.
a control and security. I am going to say that melee weapons does not count as a focus here because you're throwing it.
It's still a melee weapon.
Yeah, but there's a difference between stabby and slicey and throwing.
I,
Right.
Well, hold on a second. The focus says melee weapons. The use of melee weapons, it never says anything about projectiles.
It becomes a projectile once
Well,
you
there
throw
is a
it.
focus actually
But the
called thrown weapons, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there is an
I-
actual
okay,
focus
all right.
for
That's
it.
pretty standard tabletop rules. Is that there's a
All right.
specific aspect
Objection
for
withdrawn.
Yeah. Again, he's the Klingon warrior. I appreciate what he's doing.
Mhm.
that. I
Um,
respect finding ways to stabify. Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Now the question is, how much difficulty do I make this here? Because
Now,
I want
how
to
do
give
you-
you a fighting
okay.
chance, but I also want to make it interesting.
How do you feel about composure as
Go
a
halfway.
focus? In that, hey, this might be the death of me. I'm still gonna throw it right. Like,
I'll let you do composure. I'll let it
let's
happen.
go.
Yep, chill in
But
the
here's
face
the
of
trade-off. Here's the
dishonor.
trade-off. I am going to spend 3 threat to make the difficulty a 4 here before I roll for damage.
Oh,
Totally.
nasty.
Challenger, how
So
we need it.
I would
I'm-
recommend probably spending determination
Oh, yeah.
here, but
Right, definitely, yeah.
Oh yeah.
so the
Yep,
question is what
definitely gonna do
value
it.
applies.
Glory to the Empire, or every blow must be struck with conviction. I think both
I like
of
it.
these
I like it.
do apply.
Actually, yeah. Both
I
are
think I'll
pretty
do
good.
Glory to the Empire because this is I am representing the Klingon Empire in this conflict.
Mhm.
Do it.
Okay.
Indeed.
Yep. I will do it. No momentum, but I'm obviously threat all the way up to 5 die here. just for
Okay,
you.
that'll get me up to 12 threat, just so you know.
Yep. And
Take
then
it.
so the 1 is the +2, so I'm really only rolling 4 die because the
Correct,
first one
and
is
you would check
two.
the using focus determination.
Copy. Alrighty.
Watch this. He's gonna roll an 80.
Just gonna oh, look at that. It's like I had a negative on my die.
May the dice be forever in our favor.
8
That's
successes.
pretty good.
Oh,
That's pretty
wow.
good.
Actually, hold on. You rolled 6 dice, so
yeah.
unfortunately we have
Oh,
to take
yes.
off one of those 6, the
One,
end
yeah.
one. But still, 6 successes. It was
Wait,
difficulty
wait,
4.
I see it as. Wait, 6. Wait, hold up. I'm seeing 5d20 with 8. What?
No, I'm seeing 6 die were rolled, so
I've seen 6 dice too, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
What?
I thought I thought if I clicked using determination and 5 die, it would just automatically put the 5th one at 1.
No, that's how it works.
I see what you're saying.
yeah, that's how it works in 2nd edition, where it automatically sets
Right,
up. But the way
right.
the system in Foundry is set up is that it just adds another 1 on top of that.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
Still 6 successes, which means you get 2 momentum back as the dagger does pierce into Astizia's armor and does draw blood. However, I do have to roll Astizia's damage here. And I need to look at your stress. How much stress do you have?
Got
Okay,
16.
you have 16. All right.
Wow.
Which means Astizia has a 7 vicious 1 on her attack here. So give me 7 challenge dice. You know what? I'll spend 1 threat to reroll those blanks because I gotta
Oh,
keep
yeah.
it
Yeah, I
interesting.
figured
Yeah,
you
for
might.
sure.
For sure.
All right, so that is a
Oh,
grand
nice.
total of 8, and then 9, 10. So you'll take 10 stress of damage, meaning you are definitely lethally injured here, as the both of you are now spurting blood. Astizia from the chest wound of the dagger that's still sticking in, you from the multiple lacerations across your own chest. Now, you're not dead, you're dying, and Kanas has a way to come over and save you before the end of the scene. But in this moment, as you take this momentous blow, as you throw the dagger, what do you do?
I just laugh because it's like it was not only a good fight, but technically still a show of our strength as an empire. And even if the photo finish is slightly in her favor, I think that it's still proven in one way or another. I think Akrak is fully okay that if this is death, it was at least in an honorable, glorious way, with a new potential ally or enemy.
Hey, say something about it being a good day to die.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Maybe it's not a good day to die.
Yeah, no, I'll take some of my own blood and wipe it on my face and be like, "This is a good day to die." Just go for it. Yeah, it's all good.
All right, so of course the crowd is gasping and cheering. They don't know what to do because they never expected their champion to be struck like that. But Astizia, as you're laughing and saying it's a good day to die, Astizia's third arm reaches around, takes the dagger, pulls it out, and of course there's another little spurt of blood, and she kind of twirls the dagger around in her third arm's fingers, and then sort of starts laughing herself and says, "Well, it has been some time since anyone has been able to score even a scratch on my armor. Well done, Akrak, well done indeed. However, I'm unsure which of us technically spurted blood first. Tell me," and she sort of directs this to the greater crowd, "tell me, what do you all think?" And of course, the crowd is more interested in the fact that their champion actually got hit rather than who actually spurted blood first. So there's definitely some cheers, there's some jeers, but what matters is you basically have done the 300 thing of throwing the spear at the very end to hit
Right.
Xerxes to make him bleed. So while this is all happening, Astizia nods and says, "Very well, I believe we have our answer. Do you need assistance, Akrak?"
I think I got this, and I'll mosey on over. Well, mosey might not be the right
I would
word.
like to stand up and nod to her and see if I can walk back towards Kanas.
Okay. So
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm gonna say that you are able to get about 3 steps down before Kanas has to literally catch you in her arms because of the amount of blood you're losing.
That's valid.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
also,
rest of
let me-
us are.
me roll
Yeah,
for
we're
veteran.
on the way out too.
Sorry, let me roll for veteran.
Yep.
Got
Okay, no,
miss.
you don't get it back. But yeah, Kanas, very important role. I need you to give me a daring and medicine here. Because of the amount of stress, this is a difficulty of 2 here.
Can I pull the whole
But-
technically in command of the mission thing and do commanding bloodline? It's like it kind of have us all out and running, lend assistance.
Yes, I'll allow it.
I was about to say, could I also bold medicine this?
You could. You would just have to give me threat.
Well, yeah. At this point, why the heck not, right, guys? Right?
Yeah.
Well, commanding bloodline does some good stuff to
What will that
Kanas
do
going
again?
in.
I was looking
so
at the
I'm
timeline.
thinking, gonna say presence command to jump down onto the field and bring everybody else in. Come, let us tend to our honorable Akrak before he ascends to Stovokor so that he may celebrate his victory. And when doing that command task or attempting to assist with command, Kanas gets to ignore the first complication.
Mm-hmm. Could be important.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then there's other fun stuff with advisor too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna just do that. Just one.
All right, and I'd like to buy a threat.
Okay. So you're rolling
Yeah.
3 dice here.
Right. So I'll roll 3 dice, and the complication was
Still a 1. Still at a 20.
still 1. Okay.
But you ignore the first one.
Wow.
Nice.
That is 4 successes overall, meaning you get 2 momentum back for your trouble. So,
Do you not have a
Kanas,
focus here?
Oh yeah, do you have a focus? Hold on, let's check.
Oh, really?
You should. Yeah, you've got
No,
emergency
yeah.
medicine, so
mean,
that would
yeah.
actually be.
Successes.
Yeah,
that would
was gonna-
be.
I guess that counts.
that
I was
would
so
be-
looking at. I was looking at my
Four,
talents. I
five,
forgot about
five.
that column.
Yeah, so you would have 5 successes, so you actually get another. What did I say? 3 momentum on top of that.
Sweet.
Nice. All right, so Kanas, when you finally get over with the rest of the Klingon away party in tow, you see that a croc is it's a good thing he's got a second rib cage and that his second heart is beating strong, because oh boy, did Astizia do a number on that first rib cage.
It'll leave a good scar.
You'll have a very sexy scar for this one. Good story.
Huzzah! Kapla!
Kapla, indeed.
Oh! Maury's gonna start thinking up lawyer lyrics for the dog of a croc and how
Yeah,
it flew,
yeah.
etc., etc.
You'll have a good story to tell the youngins. That's for certain.
The records of honor will sing true with this triumph.
The records of battle, yeah.
Hmm. But once a croc is stabilized, and again, I imagine that you are using things like a dermal regenerator and a bone regenerator and other technological medicine. Is that correct, Kanas?
I would be using what we would have on hand as a higher tech level species than
Which is interesting with their rapid tech.
I was about
stuff.
to say, but wait a second, maybe they just focused on cybernetics instead of space flight. Yeah, that's possible. I'm not here to judge.
Mhm.
Oh, they give me my dog top back. What color is their blood?
Their blood is purple.
Oh,
Oh, like ours. Ooh.
twins.
Twinsies.
Mm-hmm.
Missing link. Missing link.
Right, yeah.
Oh no! Oh no! They're
So
hurt, aren't they?
So what's going to happen is, Kanas, you obviously are able to treat a croc, but the entire time, Astizia is kind of not in your face, but she is nearby-ish and sort of watching via her eye tendrils and her actual helmet. And it is probably about, the time that a croc can finally stand on his own 2 feet again and is no longer in danger of bleeding out, that Astizia sort of puts a hand to her chin and goes, "Interesting. A wound like that would have had to have had emergency surgery and some form of prosthesis, but here your technology from another galaxy was able to heal him in mere moments."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm still focused on working, and it's
Dr. Honasto is but one example of many of the advances of Klingon medicine.
while to die in combat is honorable, if you can live to see another battle, surely we must, work hard to achieve that.
Interesting.
It is remarkable to note that it represents something of an outlier in our. Much of Klingon medicine was geared towards the speeding towards an honorable death of a warrior, or the excise of final dishonor. It is rare, but less rare these days, to see medical applications such as this in our hands, but not unheard.
Interesting. Well, since it appears that I have lost this honor duel, may I present to you a challenge, but not a challenge of combat, a challenge of fun and camaraderie. I would like to invite you on behalf of the Drin people to a grand feast to welcome you to the Drin homeworld.
We can only accept this honor on one condition. As the dishonored, it falls to me to bring the finest vintage of blood wine from my own personal stock, that we might toast an honorable war and an honorable people.
And even though you can't see her smiling, you definitely hear it in her voice. She says, "That sounds like an honorable compromise. Very well. I will allow you, or shall I say, you may go back to your ship to fetch this blood wine. Since you are apparently capable of materializing at will, I will give you the coordinates and a time at which you will be expected."
We will arrive honorably late.
And that laugh is in character, where she just kind of chuckles and goes, "Very well." And she actually comes over and she helps you enter in the time and the location into a tricorder. And then Astizia leaves the field. And as you look up into the stands, you see that now that the main event is over, most of the Drin are filtering out as well. But every once in a while, you'll see like these wide-eyed kids that are like standing there kind of looking at you Klingons like, ooh, look at them. They're the new people kind of a thing. But whenever they stare for too long, their elders kind of like grab them and pull them and do the typical wrangling of kid, as it were.
It's not polite to stare at their children.
Quadruply so because of the eye stalks.
Right. Yeah. So even their young have all these cybernetic stuff as well, correct?
Well, that's the thing, is that now that you have a chance to kind of look at the people in the stands, those eye stalks aren't actually cybernetic. Those eye stalks are flesh, blood, muscle, and bone, just like anything else.
Perfect.
That's pretty metal.
Well, yeah,
Even the opposite of
was the
metal.
one that had the cybernetic, but the first guy and many others were natural.
Yes, and that is another thing I'd like to point out, is that even the children have a third arm on their
So
back.
they're all okay. Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah. So Astizia had something replaced or fixed or upgraded at some point.
Or maybe like some sort of like, enhancement.
Customized.
Like the equivalent of like glasses. Not like glasses, but you know what I mean. Kind of like
my arm.
Or it could be an artificial limb, because it was at some point she was amputated, or
Something to ask her about, perhaps.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, my question is, you have maybe about 2 hours before this supposed feast is going to occur. Are you going to just sort of chill in the arena for 2 hours? Are you going to go back up to your ship? What's the play here?
Let's
should
go back up to the ship.
Yeah, we should also probably figure out like protocols and like etiquette and stuff.
Yeah,
That
how
way-
many
that we're not just, like-
folks are we like? How many other people are coming down with us? Like,
They eat with their left hand, their right hand, their center hand.
Also, gotta probably report to the admiral.
we probably should give him the heads up that
We've been invited to dinner. Yeah, I feel like going back to the Honasto for a quick powwow or prepping. Probably
Debrief.
best.
Yeah,
exactly.
debriefing.
All right. So we do one of those Batman spin-out sequences where it's just back to the Honasto. Exactly. And we see that the four of you plus Admiral Zark are once again in the war room, and you've just finished describing the glorious battle to Zark. And Zark kind of leans back a bit and kind of strokes his goatee in a sagely manner and goes, "Interesting. I must say that the story is quite gripping, and that these Drin appear to be quite the formidable warriors. This might be heretical to say, but I believe they might, in some aspects, be greater than some of our greatest warriors."
They are remarkably rapidly developed for the observations that we were able to take before making contact. They have been able to progress from what appears to be lower levels of industrial civilization to a spacefaring pre-warp age in fractions of the time that any known civilizations in the alpha, beta, or gamma quadrants have. At least that's what I remember from like last session. They had like some ridiculously short technological evolution.
Right. No, you got it right.
Yeah, it was a couple 100 years or something crazy
Yeah.
like that. And Commander Astiza is very adept at singular combat, but I am more adept than the average Klingon warrior, and we can presume she is more adept than the average Drin warrior. So it is. I am curious to see how their standing military operates and the general skill set of their more standard infantrymen.
but
And-
certainly not a people's to underestimate. That's for certain.
Indeed.
Most definitely.
And then I think
We have
Zark
indeed
kind of... Oh, go ahead.
We have seen their individual skill and singular combat and the tradition thereof, but the general raises a good point. We have very little observations of their historical use of armed conflict amongst themselves. Is single combat a rapid part of their short history? Is it an evolution of wasteful, larger-scale combat? Or have they not yet had the experience of units at war with each other? We haven't seen the violence of an atomic exchange. This is of great interest to how their honorable culture has developed.
And at this, Admiral Zark actually reaches for a pad that he was reading earlier, and he says, well, if this pad that you gave me is any indication, there was nuclear weapon testing at one point of their planet, but it wasn't directed towards any civilization. Is that correct?
What we understand is that the weapons were tested, not necessarily used. The test of a nuclear fission device could have indicated their own scientific experimentation in a safe part of their planet.
And at this, I think the Admiral looks to Captain Dagon and says, Dagon, you're perhaps the most knowledgeable among us about technological advancement and the technological level of this species. What do you make of all this?
Well, I'd have to certainly look into it more thoroughly, and not just what they've shown us, what they haven't shown us. So there's a lot of levels of technology that they're much more advanced in. For example, the cybernetics was quite impressive. I have to look into. I'm hoping to see more of their technology so that I can get a better assessment of their technological level.
Perhaps we can use part of this banquet, this feast, to have you get a better feel for their technology level. Interesting. Well,
That's what I was planning on.
And you can see Zark is kind of mulling things over in his head. I believe that it is not quite time for me to come onto the stage. I believe that the honor lies with the Croc, since he is the one that made their champion bleed. I believe he is the one that should be, shall we say, the man of honor.
From what we can tell about how the Drain handle splendor and fanfare, I believe they were already planning something like that for me, unfortunately.
It is only befitting that the victor take the spoils, Earl. And Maury's going to grin a little bit. It is honorable to be the center of attention, the feted, the most attended to. Is it not?
About that, by the way, Maury, and you can see that Zark is now smiling. You're really going to give up a bottle of 2251?
I have no choice. Honor dictates it. And besides, no fine vintage is better appreciated than one that is shared with honor, even if it is the dishonored that must share it.
He's saving the 2309, so for another occasion.
And in fact, the Admiral's going to say, well, since we did win the day, you may have one of my 2308s as well.
Admiral, I must insist. My personal stock should be given freely and honorably. I am, after all, the one who was defeated.
Well, if it comes a point where that stock of yours is dwindled to zero, let's just say that there's not an easy way to replace it all the way here in Seg 1.
Then my sobriety shall be part of my dishonor.
Didn't we invite a whole house of vintners?
We do, but I've never found taste for it. It's not as potent as actual blood wine from the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah, but didn't we have a family of vintners on the ship?
And yeah, out of character, you do actually. That's
what I thought we did.
Just not as
it's not the same town.
I thought I'd taken the name down too.
It is the House of Zar.
That's right.
Yeah, but there's not enough nitrogen in the soil.
Yeah, it's basically what the Admiral is saying, and as a point of order, it's yeah, you can make blood wine, but it's not as good as the real quote-unquote stuff.
Well, it's not aged, so
it's not nostalgic enough. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
I mean, I did mention putting some kind of blood wine in whatever the time machine stuff and using it to like rapidly age forward. But no, don't listen to the lawyer's booze advice.
Well, maybe you'll have to revisit that. Maybe you just start throwing things in the time machine and
I
just
was-
seeing what happens.
A very
Yeah.
Klingon thing to do. Ooh, time machine. Blood.
Time
Yeah.
crimes, wine crimes. Look.
Time
It's
microwave.
true.
Put it in the time microwave.
Yeah.
Maybe the Seg 1, batch of blood wine will be very, very sought after whenever we return home.
Potentially. But yeah, before we skip ahead to the banquet, did any of you want to accomplish anything? Wanted to do anything in your downtime? Anything you'd like to accomplish?
So I've got the whole like intel stuff and all the other fun things that are not exactly like public knowledge. Massive debrief every single log that we have from our pads. If there's any way that we could have tapped into camera feeds, making an archive of that and setting it aside in the personal file to go back to Klingon intelligence.
Okay, that has been noted.
I'm going to go take my Doc-Tog that had some of the blood of the Drin and kind of hobble to my quarters.
Wait, but I would like to keep a sample of some of the blood.
I will allow that. Yeah, that's fine. I'll let you take some, but I'll go into my room and pull out like a little like box from my closet. I'll pull it out and there's just a bunch of vials of different colored bloods, and I'll kind of put some from the drain in one and place it in there. Add it to my collection of things that I've fought with.
Things you bled onto.
Yeah, exactly. Things that not only there's not a ton. These are things that I have drawn blood from, but also have drawn blood from me. So it's like, oh, good. We'll add it to the list.
I like it.
And Dagon's gonna go after the sensor readings and past and present to scan for different levels of technology, because there seems to be a somewhat disparity between certain technologies. Some of them are more advanced than others. Then there's not doesn't seem like there's a logical evolution of technology. So.
Yeah, and in fact, now that you have some time to think about it and scan after everything you've encountered, Dagon, if you would care to give me either an insight or a reason plus engineering, and I would say that your reverse engineering focus would apply here. I am going to set the difficulty at a 3.
Ooh.
Nice.
So I'm going to use my determination and
Okay.
use the value curiosity is the mother of invention.
Okay.
And so that gives me 2 successes. And then I roll 2 with a focus.
So that would actually
5
be
successes?
5 successes, yeah. So
Yeah.
you get 2 momentum back, bringing you up to 5 by my count.
Mm-hmm.
So Dagon, you're looking at the readings of the planet with your advanced sensor suites on some of your birds of prey. You're looking at the records of battle. You're looking at the scans that you took while you were on the planet. And overwhelmingly, your hunch is correct that there is such a rapid evolution of technology here in some areas, but not in others, that something isn't adding up. And, as you pour through this data, you come to realize that there is a sort of signature of metal on the northern continent that does not match any of the known Drim metallurgy, meaning that this metal, whatever it is, comes from outside alien technology. Exactly.
Got it.
Boy. It's not Herc, right? Please tell me it's not Herc.
Well, I'm sure the computers would be happy to tell me that if that were the case.
I would say you could spend a momentum to ask that question.
Oh.
Ooh.
Hey.
No.
I will ask the computer that question.
It is
Monkey's
her.
paw
One
curls.
momentum.
It is her.
It is her. Yes.
Well,
Alrighty. Well,
hey,
so we have a similar evolution here.
No, it's not similar. If it's freaking Herc, we've got to either wait. Do we know if the metal is Herc? Were they using anything of this metal?
So the metal is Herc, but the actual metal that's in their armor and stuff is not Herc.
Whew, okay.
So the only
Yeah, it
place
was-
we can locate this metal is in
Yeah, it
place
was-
we can locate this metal is in that northern part there.
Correct. And
Okay.
know that now that you know that it's Herc, you obviously turn more sensors to that area.
Yep.
You are able to tell that there does appear to be the remnants of a Herc vessel that is now buried in a crater. And it's interesting because, you know, if this were to happen on Earth, what would happen is, you know, the 3-letter agencies, the military would set up this whole like quarantine facility and build a facility next to this crash site so that they could study it more.
Yeah.
You're not seeing
Yeah.
that here. If anything,
Oh,
it
okay.
seems to be that there might have been such a facility at one point, but there's only ruins of such a facility, as in it's
I
not being
have-
actively studied.
So I have a
Right.
Klingon-centric question to that regard. Now, from what I've read up, the whole history of the Herc and the Klingons was that, look, they were oppressing us, but then they left. It's not like some kind of weird state secret or anything like that where Klingon intelligence is trying to suppress Herc stuff, right? Like, we know this, there's nothing that stops us from saying, yeah, this is Herc, oh crap, and word spreads throughout the ship. Or is it some kind of secret that we gotta work?
No, it is not a secret. But if you do
Okay.
want to stop Scuttlebutt from getting a hand on it, you gotta let me know.
Dagon
it would-
actually has a history with Herc technology.
Oh, hell, even. Yeah, no, like
in that
I
background
don't.
there.
Unless we have like a mandate to stop it.
Oh no, I reverse engineer it, and that's where my talent for reverse engineering comes from.
Interesting. I mean, this also doesn't mean that they like the Herc. They might completely hate them as well. We have no idea.
Or they could just be kind of like, yeah, that happened. Shrug.
Or they
We
don't
moved
have
on.
any experience with the Herc at all.
Right. It could
They
have
all
just been.
died
Yeah,
when
it
they
could
crashed
be-
on the planet.
Yeah, do we know how old it is? Like, well,
A couple thousand years at least. I mean,
Are
it
you
would.
well, I
ready?
mean, does it tie into when their rapid acceleration was going to be?
Listening
you
is a
figured
skill.
it out. You figured it out.
Hmm.
So to put a finer point on it, the age of this wreckage immediately lines up with the rapid advancement that the Dren encountered.
That makes sense.
That
Well, that's
sure
fine.
does.
Used it as a jumping point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can't really blame them.
Probably
Only
figure out
logical.
if that ship was crash landed or damaged and fell, or that should be something for later. I think.
Yeah.
And it's not quite like, from the history of they oppressed us, we threw them off, we reversed engineered their stuff.
But
it's just they were there.
Yeah, and they seem
Dagon
to.
would like to send a team to that ship so that we can start scanning and see if there's any technologies that are different than the ones already known
Right.
by the Klingon Empire.
And they
Okay.
didn't seem to be like, we were, if I recall correctly from 2 weeks ago, we were like their first quote alien contact. So,
Yep.
Yeah, to them it's just archaeology. To us, it's
the plot thickens.
yeah.
Perhaps we are their first contact with an alien people, but it's not their first contact with alien technology.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Very interesting.
Ha, ha, ha.
All right. Well, now that you have questions to ask during the banquet, is there anything else you'd like to do before we skip ahead to the banquet?
I'm pretty sure that 2 hours is just enough time for me to do all that
Okay.
I'm
and
pretty
send a
good.
team.
All right.
Of course, I'd love to be on the away team, but I have somewhere else to be right now. So
As your prerogative, though, as ranking member, ranking engineer, that you could just blow off the banquet. That is always something you could do.
True.
Or
but I would
slip
admit-
in and out.
but I-
Like
but I
It's
would
gotta be
miss the
possible to, like-
entertainment.
This is true. You would miss the entertainment.
You also might get some more answers from the banquet.
That too. There's people there I might be able to ask questions to.
All right.
I'll
So
do
we're
the
going to skip
investigation.
ahead to the banquet, and just as a point of order, are you going to be landing a bird of prey, landing a shuttle, or just beaming in?
from what we've seen of their space technology and anything we saw on land, would it be, and what we know of their culture, would it be like making a big ass entrance Or would it be like Honor close to something similar? If they're Herc evolved in some way or Herc derived, would showing up in a big chunk of technology maybe kind of draw a parallel that they would call attention to or notice?
So saying that they're Herc derived, we don't know that yet. That's a big.
That's a big jump.
assumption there.
True.
But they also know, like, us being in a spaceship is not at all a surprise. So I think if we come to the banquet in the spaceship,
But also, would it be viewed as an escalation? Like, they can, in terms of diplomacy, we've engaged in honorable combat, we've taken their measure, they've taken ours. Do we want to engage in, like, militancy and one-upmanship, or do we want to keep it as, like, take it easy?
Right now we're equals, so why up the game?
Yeah, I have a feeling that. Yeah, I agree. I think we're fine to just vibe.
There's no need for it at this point in time.
If we're bringing an entourage, let's bring them down to the shuttle. If it's just us, let's beam it again, I guess.
Well, let me ask, do you want to bring an entourage, or do you want to just be the four of you?
I feel like maybe we bring like a few other notable members, right? Like a chief scientist, I don't know, like a linguist, just some random people on the thing that might also serve some sort of benefit from kind of mingling with another culture in this way.
My suggestion
wait,
is one
here's an idea.
one security for each.
I was gonna say we
Flag
should at
off
least have like one
Sure,
security, just
yeah.
as a. Just
I have
in
an
case.
idea. What if we bring the one kid who landed that really good shot on the dinosaur? Since we all made him like this, you're honorable, you're great, you're a good kid. That Ziza made note.
Oh, she wanted to see our youth.
Yeah. She thinks that we're spry. Here, look at this. This is one of our finest young warriors who has earned a spot of honor amongst this blah 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 blah.
I put his name in Foundry chat. His name was Norik Nagaza. Was his name?
Yeah, let's bring Norik.
Cool.
Is he's not legal drinking. This will be fun.
Is that such a thing to worry about in Klingon culture? Is it really?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Really.
I imagine it's like the French, where you just, as long as you're at home, you can drink whatever the hell you want. So why not?
Probably after the rite of ascension, they're allowed to drink,
Yeah.
which is usually about 12 years old there. So
He's probably old enough.
Yeah, if he's the gunner of the Vestarg, he's definitely old enough.
You're old enough to
They
think.
join-
You're old
they
enough to
join-
drink.
they joined the military at 16 here. So the chances are 12 is a good age to start.
Yep.
Amazing.
All right. So we're going to cut ahead to the banquet itself. We'll say that you just beam down in two groups. And when you arrive at the location, what you see is that it's very similar to kind of how do I want to say this? It's very similar to a banquet hall or an auditorium here on Earth that's usually used for like state dinners or feeding large groups of people at once. And it's not just a number of gladiators like Astizia and Lusas. You are seeing, similar to the entourage you brought down, there are a variety of Drin statesmen, scientists, engineers, a whole melting pot from Drin society that is at this banquet. The good news, though, is that you didn't just beam down into the middle of the hall. You beam down in one of the ancillary rooms that is in one of the back hallways, and waiting for you actually is Astizia. Now, Astizia is no longer in her armor, so you're actually seeing her for the first time. And very much that immediately stands out is that she does not have that third arm. She does seem to have a prosthesis in the center of her back, but she does not have a flesh and blood third arm, is the difference here.
Cool.
And to further sort of paint the picture of the Drin people, since you've really only seen, glimpses of them in the stands and them in their armor, the Drin face is somewhat between a reptile's and a shark. So you have sort of like these saurian, like reptilian slitted eyes, and you have what could be some form of not an elongated snout, but definitely a more pronounced nose and pronounced like shark-like teeth. And they also are vibrantly colored, where, at least in Astizia's case, she starts off as kind of this very vibrant purple that then sort of fades away into like this neon bright blue.
Interesting.
And when you beam in, she is wearing a dress of some kind. You think it's a dress anyway because it looks more like a robe, but not as confining. It does. How do I want to say this? It does look like that she still could pack a punch or throw a fist or throw a dagger, as it were, because she actually has strapped to one of her legs a bandolier of daggers, not the size of a dick tag, but definitely some throwing implements of some kind.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Do others have
Or
these
darts,
bandoliers?
Actually, yes. As you look out past Assizia into the banquet hall, you do see that all the women do appear to be armed.
Ah, okay.
Interesting.
But Assizia, as you beam in, she doesn't seem shocked or anything. She simply waits for you all to materialize, and then she says, Klingon warriors, welcome to this banquet in your honor. I do hope you brought enough of that blood wine for everyone.
Might need some more barrels.
Mori's just gonna
Yeah, did we?
do the comlink thing. What is it? Mori to Notka. Send down the casks. And however much from that 2251 vintage is going to materialize not too far from us. I leave to discretion how many gallons we have, or at least for my own personal
An
stuff.
acceptable amount.
Yeah, an acceptable amount. So once the barrels beam in, Astizia just sort of chuckles and says, well done. I am very eager to taste this blood wine. It sounds absolutely delectable. But please, let me at least introduce you to those gathered here, and then you are feel free to mingle and ask questions of whomever you please. After all, I do believe that this is our first encounter with aliens, and as far as I'm concerned, as champion, that you should be the one to take the lead here. As much as I would like to delegate and discern what we should be doing, since you defeated me in honorable combat, I defer to you in this situation.
It was a joint effort. We are honored to mingle with your people, learn more of your ways and culture. And I wish to thank you personally for giving me a new scar to the collection.
And she actually motions at her back at the prosthesis and says, I am no stranger to scars and the glory that comes with them.
I'm glad that we are of similar mind, then.
Very good. If you'll all follow me up to the stage, we can get this banquet underway.
Stage.
Mm-hmm. So she does lead you up onto the front stage that's sort of at the back area of this banquet hall. And she goes up to this podium as the rest of the Klingons, including yourself, sort of file in behind her. And she kind of taps the microphone twice, and then leans in and says, Drin people, it is I, Astizia, your champion. I have the greatest honor to introduce to you the Klingon people, the ones who drew blood from your champion. I would say that they have fought valiantly, and that they have much to offer us. However, it is their, shall we say, and you can see that she's thinking of the right word. It is their purview of how much they wish to share with us. I would ask that you keep things semi-formal. Let's not badger our guests and keep them from enjoying the feast we have set forth in their honor. And then, the crowd politely claps and cheers. And then Assizia kind of turns to Akrak and says, well, Mr. Akrak, would you care to say anything before we get this thing started? And she motions at the podium.
Oh, God, I hate speeches. All right,
I'd like to I want to roll to assist on this one. Psychology. Let's say that maybe he got a little bit of a pep talk from the chief diplomat.
All right.
Yeah, I'll go up and kind of tap on the mic awkwardly. Like, it is not often that we, as the Klingon Empire, get the unique and humbling opportunity to meet a race of individuals that balance us in our combat potential. So your people, the Drin, you all have proven to us that you can fight honorably. And for that, we are excited to continue negotiations with your people so that we can better find a partnership to positively influence both of our beautiful cultures. And then I'll just kind of give a nod.
All right. And again, there's
Do I have to roll
polite
for this?
clapping.
Okay, got it. Okay. All right,
Yeah.
nice.
There's polite clapping and not as many cheers, but polite clapping all the same. And Stysia takes the podium again and says, "Well, what are you all waiting for? Dig in, be merry, celebrate." And the banquet begins.
Nice.
Ugh.
So,
Right. Some of their
Is it a posed roll to digest
food.
their food or what?
well, that's kind of the next thing. So,
First of all, I think the doctor can, use the tricorder to determine whether it's
Yeah,
edible
find
for
out,
us,
can
right?
we actually eat this without dying or getting violently ill or any such things?
Yeah, really.
well, I'm actually going to spend 2 threat to say that you can eat it.
Nice.
You can eat it. It's not going to kill you.
But-
However, there will be much
but-
honor that is inflicted upon that toilet later on.
Alright.
I mean, we drink poison tea, so
I'm gonna say, you know what? Look, if you drink enough blood wine, it's not gonna matter, right? You just
well, the whole thing with
Tomorrow's
goth is
problem.
the whole thing with goth is if you're strong enough to digest it, it kills the goth. If you're not, it kills you, right? There's just
So, Al,
nothing
you're gonna have to find the audio file for La Cucaracha.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. But interestingly, what happens is you aren't all given the same table. In fact, it seems to be that each of you is given your own table with your own set of Drin people. So, for example, Dagon, you are seated at a table with scientists and engineers. Mori, you're seated at a table of mixed warriors and diplomats. Kanas, you're seated with diplomats and medical personnel, doctors. Croc, you actually share a table with Astizia, Lusos, and some of the other leaders of the society. And we're just going to sort of go around and give everybody a chance to, mingle and make first contact. And we're going to start with Colonel Mori. So, Mori, one of the diplomats kind of leans in and says, "Tell me, I did watch your battle with Lusos. It was a very interesting fight. Do your diplomats perhaps not value combat as highly?"
There is nothing as valuable to a Klingon diplomat as success in combat. It is with great regret that we do not get to hone our physical blades as much as we do our diplomatic ones. And indeed, what you saw today is a great dishonor for me. I am in many ways regretful that I did not fall on that field. But in many other ways, the Klingon diplomatic corps, like any civilized species, learn from its diplomatic and physical losses as much as any other.
I see. And you actually see that they're kind of inspecting a goblet of the blood wine. You say this blood wine is from year 2251?
Yes, we are each allowed our own personal stocks aboard ship, and many Klingons choose to bring a choice vintage and age of blood wine. I tend to veer towards a vintage which can reflect many different tastes and styles. It is difficult to find one. But indeed, 2251 was a good year, as good as it was to die, as it was to harvest.
And they kind of smile at that and they take a drink. And interestingly, the Drin that's talking is actually kind of a subdued color. They're not the vibrant color of Astizia. This Drin is more kind of a brown and a green, so not very vibrant.
Ooh.
But the moment they drink the blood wine, this sort of greenish blush kind of comes across their features and goes, "My, that is quite a potent blood wine. I must drink this in moderation."
Ah, that is where you are mistaken, my friend. Good
Mistaken
blood wine
indeed.
is not meant to be drank in moderation. It is meant to be drank in honor.
In excess.
Indeed. And I'm gonna quaff that. What is it? However much I've got in whatever drinking vessel I've got. I don't know if we got horns, glasses, tankards, whatever. Gonna pound it. Kapla!
So, because I find it funny, I need you to roll me a fitness medicine at a difficulty of 2 to see how well you're able to not be drunk.
I'm gonna say that the composure focus comes into play.
It would.
You gotta stay a little bit composed when you're drinking to excess diplomatically. And I think I'd like to spend a momentum to make sure that we at least keep a little bit ahead.
Okay.
Maybe the diplomacy part will yield some fruit.
Okay.
That brings us down to 3. Would anybody care to lend me assistance in drinking? No, I'm kidding.
Oh my lord, you only got 1 success. It was a difficulty of 2. So we'll come back to your table in a moment, but when we come back, Maury, you're drunk. The Drin are drunk. You're having a fun time. You're just all drunk.
There you go.
That's Klingon diplomacy. Who said we had to be? Well, I said it'd be in my collective sobriety. I didn't say I was not going to drink. I'm just going to be a little bit short.
Maybe averaged amongst us all, we're not drunk, but like it's, median versus mean here.
Yeah, you know what it is?
Yeah.
Now that I'm using my personal vintage here, I got to drink the shipboard and crap blood wine, the standard issue blood wine for the rest.
Oh, Lord. All right, well, while you're getting drunk with the Drin, we're going to go to Kanas. So, Kanas, interestingly, when you are seated and you're looking around at who's at your table, all of them are women. All of them are, female presenting. And they all are very much a vibrant color similar to Astizia. And one of them introduces herself and says, do I have your name correctly? Is it Kanas?
Correct, yes.
I am Dr. Venry. I am a member of the Scientific and Medical Council, and I would like to pick your brain and perhaps maybe start to understand how your great healing implements work. From what I saw of the recording of that battle, you were able to heal wounds that would maim or perhaps even kill one of the Drin.
Correct. I guess I whip out my handy-dandy tricorder at this point. And kind of like
what, this old thing?
Yeah, this whole thing. And kind of go through the motions. But Honasto would actually also be equally interested in any sort of any other physiological things I can be picking up. Anything else going on that could be kind of a clue. Because again, the blood color is the same. Trying to weasel out if there could be any sort of shared anatomy,
genetic
structure.
ancestry, or
anything going on that could be similarities between our peoples, as it were.
Okay, Kanas, give me a reason and medicine. Difficulty of 5 here. And I'm actually going to have to spend threat to do that, so I have to go down to that much threat to do it.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I have anything I could use.
Oh, they're going to take offense at the fact you're trying to probe their genes at dinner.
Well, I'm asking politely, and I'm on a table of fellow medical people. I don't think that's offensive.
Could you please spell out
professional curiosity?
They might not even know what a tricorder is. So
right. Well, I mean, I'm showing them a little beepy boop box. All
That's
right,
its
so
name, actually, is the beepy boop box.
Boop box. Yeah, there you go. I don't think I have anything that would be. Yeah, it's not really emergency medicine or field medicine. I think I'm just rolling.
All right. Well, it's a difficulty of 5, so you may wish to spend determination and buy dice with momentum and threat. Remember, you do have bold medicine.
Bold medicine.
Do you have
I do have bold medicine. Yeah, I didn't wind up. Yeah. Okay. What's our threat at? I don't have it open.
8.
Oh, that's nothing. Yeah, let me and I can blow my momentum. I'll blow my momentum for the session or the
determination
or the arc. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I meant. Okay. I clicked the determination button as I said momentum. So yeah, let me do a bold medicine and do a determination. So that brings me up to 4.
So you'll roll 3 dice and you'll check the using determination value on the box.
Okay, so that right. That was the thing that we learned by error last time. All right, cool beans. Mm-hmm. Let's see.
5 successes, exactly what you need.
Nice.
So
there you go.
Kanas, as you're showing off the beepy boop box, because that's the one that's going to be known forever now.
Yeah, I love it.
Your tricorder tells you that there is common ancestry between the Drin
Ooh.
people and the Klingons.
Interesting. Interesting. All right. Well, I think Honasto wouldn't not. I don't want to necessarily open up. Oh, by the way, I think we're related somewhere. I think we got a great grandma.
Do you have an Uncle Murray by any chance?
But I would love to see if perhaps we can share some medical data. Biological data. Physiological organ systems. All sorts of raw things. Like perhaps some of our further inoculation methods could be helpful as well. And you may have some insights into things that plague us that we may, we could be some shared commonality. I don't necessarily want to reveal immediately, tip my hand on that one because that's a big reveal.
Right. Well, Dr. Venry is, nodding along and very eager and says, well, after you provided that cure during our initial opening salvo of negotiations, the rest of us, and she motions to the table, the rest of us have been in awe at the level of medical technology you possess. Do you perhaps believe that you will be able to share such technology and such wealth of knowledge with us in the future?
Sell him on joining the Empire.
Well, perhaps as we come together as a people and, perhaps can form some sort of, shall we say, coordination of efforts, certainly with our allies, we would be more willing to share such advancements. Kind of sowing the seeds for, because I think we were not as a group just kind of like, we weren't necessarily coming in guns ablaze and taking over was the vibe I was getting, but certainly having allies in Seg 1 would behoove us, especially if they also happen to be somewhat genetically related to us in some way, shape, or form.
Hey guys, we're back. Listen, can we cultivate an organ or two?
Right. Take a peek at some of those things real quick.
Right. So I think Honasto would kind of like start sowing the seeds to some sort of like empire expansion, like, by the way,
Yeah, we can't conquer them, but we can.
But we can,
them.
strongly guide to a mutual endeavor.
Benefit.
I like it. All right, well, while you're doing that, we're going to go to the next table. Dagon, you are at a table of mostly male-presenting individuals. Again, they don't have the most vibrant of colors. These are more earthy tones, more browns, more greens, maybe a little bit of blue here and there. But one of them does kind of raise a glass to you and says, well, from what I have seen of your technology so far, it is quite tremendous. Perhaps in the future, we can excel to your level.
Well, it's certainly the part of the evolution of any species to evolve.
And might I say that your materialization technology, the ability to appear in one place and disappear from another, that is most interesting to me.
It usually is. I'm being rather tight-lipped.
Yeah, I gathered.
When it there's no way I'm gonna over technology these people there.
So,
and I suspect that they're good at reverse engineering as well.
Yeah, and so what's gonna, just so that we're not like sandbagging each other for 5 minutes, let's say, for example, that they keep trying to get you to tell them how things work and where, the engineering principles behind things, but eventually they get the hint that you're not gonna just give them answers, and the same one who raised their glass to you isn't like mad or isn't upset, but is very much oh, we didn't get to hear this kind of a thing, but says
they can hear.
Oh, sorry.
You can hear about the different technologies. It's just not. I'm not going to go into details of how they work.
Right. So as you are describing perhaps how the replicator works, the same person who struck up the conversation in the first place says, well, I mean, a replicator, from the sounds of it, could solve some of our food crises on the southern continent. We are in a bit of a drought right now, and a bit of a turbulent area of weather and seasonal afflictations. Perhaps, do Klingons have weather control technology?
Yes, they do, actually. We got it from the Federation about 50 years ago. Actually,
Right.
150 years ago, when they, after the Praxis incident.
This Federation you speak of, what are they like?
They're another species called humans, and some of them are honorable, and they are good allies of our people. We have been allies for a long time.
But I noticed that you are the first...
We share technology with our allies, and vice versa.
And yet, from what I've understood of talking with you, you are the first one from your galaxy to come this far.
As far as we know, yes, that is correct.
Interesting. Well, then they raise their glass to you. To future endeavors.
To future endeavors.
All right.
So I let them ask their questions to start off there, and I'm just sort of getting to know their personalities, and I'm looking at the coloration of their I guess I'll say their skin tones to see what's if there's any relation between like mood and coloration. If there's any, so I'm looking at it from an engineering point of view to see how their biomechanical processes are working.
All right. So very similar to what's going on at Maury's table, where the more drunk and the more the Drin imbibe, they do get a green blush of some kind.
Interesting, green.
Which again should be especially interesting because their blood is purple. So how it's going green, you don't know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We'll ask Honasto when
Yes.
it's all over.
And
She'll know.
And Korean and Klingons have a big problem with green Romulan blood.
Yup.
So, like I said, I'm a little weary of this species at this point in time. There,
I think it's warranted.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's now go.
Be, hungry for knowledge.
Hungry for many things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's go to a Croc's table. So a Croc, very similar to Kanas's table, you are at a table of all women, or female presenting anyway, and all of them have vibrant colors, very similar to Astizia. But Astizia is the only purple one that is here. And as you're eating, and this applies to all the tables, the food that has been brought out, it's not as rich or as alive as Klingons might prefer, but it's still a good dish. It is still very flavorful, very full of spices and taste, where, again, you enjoy the meal, you're just going to maybe have some gastrointestinal distress later that you're going to have to worry about.
It'll breed more honorable stomach.
Yeah, there you go. But a Crack, as you're maybe eating and, talking a little bit between Astizia and the other diplomats, one of the diplomats, whose name is in my notes here, her name is Pon, P-O-N. Pon leans in and says, a Croc, might I ask a question of you that might be a little forward?
I am trained in most diplomatic channels, by all means. Ask your questions. I'm sure I will have some questions for you all as well.
Well, I've noticed that most of the warriors you brought down, and of course including yourselves, are men. Is the Klingon species perhaps male-dominated?
Yes and no. Klingon women are treated as equals in military fashion. There is still some, in my opinion, unfortunate inequalities in politics, in matters of familial inheritance. But for the most part, Klingon women are treated as equal and expected to have the same physical prowess and lust for blood and honor as the men.
Interesting. Well, I'm sure you've already figured it out, but us, the Drin, we are a matriarchal society, which is quite interesting to see that a male warrior bested our best champion. And she, Pawn kind of ribs with her elbow, kind of ribs Astizia a little bit. Speaking of which, Astizia, why did you let him win? And Astizia immediately turns like a bright blue. Turns a bright blue. And Astizia goes, well, I didn't let him win. Let's be very clear about this. I simply thought that it would be best for visitors from another galaxy to perhaps not be embarrassed in front of the entire Drin species.
Oh.
Other than Maury, that is.
What we can have that happen like it was. Once we get back to Drunk, let's see how well if he heard that at all. Let's table that. But I think more like she just screwed it down at a crock a little bit though.
I'll pause for a moment, take a calculated breath to collect myself. Like, Commander, is true? Is it correct that you pulled your punches some?
Oh, make no doubt that I could have severed your spine had I wished to, but I also did not dodge out of the way of that dagger.
I see. So you chose to dishonor me with not the best of your abilities.
Yes.
If you see it that way, perhaps. However, it was a good fight.
Diplomatic incident. Oh yeah.
No. Then it was an unfortunate fight. You did not value the Klingon Empire enough to show us the full capability of your people. Is that correct?
A sober Maury would be very, very worried at this point.
Mm-hmm. And I think Astizia is picking up that a crack is not happy, and she turns an even brighter hue of blue at this point and says, I simply thought that if I killed your best warrior, that it would set a very bad precedence between the relations of our two peoples. Are you saying that I should have severed your spine?
Yes. If you believed that you had the capability to do so, then you should not have hesitated. Although the fight was claimed to be a non-lethal bout, if you believed and had the desire to kill, then you should have taken it.
I see. From what I understand, our people are very similar in some ways, but in others, we are very different. And if it matters to you, and it seems that it does, I will accept dishonor on my part for not severing your spine.
You gonna take that from her?
Wow.
That is potentially acceptable for the time being, but it does, in my opinion, and perhaps the opinions of some of the other leadership of the Klingon Empire, potentially sour the fight and the positive nature of the combat that you showed us before.
Well, if you'd like, we can have another duel right here.
I accept. I accept.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are you guys doing this like with raised voices, or is it just like conversational tone?
I feel like it's very quiet, directed conversational tone from my end.
Like Astizia's trying to keep it on the down low. So Astizia is actually going to reach behind her. She'll disconnect her prosthesis arm, put it on the table, and say, well, we can spill blood if you wish, but perhaps we can engage in a show of strength, a test of strength. It isn't the glorious combat of the arena, but it might suffice.
Gonna arm wrestle with the arm detached? Damn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all of a sudden the arm gets up?
What is this form called in your culture?
And because I find it funny, I am going to spend 2 threat. She literally punches you across the face.
All right. Valid.
Yeah. And she isn't doing it like to try and knock you out, but she definitely tries to get you to, get a little bit of blood in your mouth. And then when you kind of reel back and you get a hold of yourself again, she sort of holds her arm wise and says, "Now you hit me as hard as you can."
Oh, all right. Yeah.
It's Drin Rochambeau.
This is counting coup.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll do it. That's fine.
All right. So what's going to happen is as you basically slug each other to see who remains standing at the very end, the rest of the table is starting to take bets and started to cheer and make a scene.
Nice.
And Maury, you're drunk at this point, and you're starting to realize that the other tables are now sort of looking at the table where Croc and Astizia are, and they're all like cheering and pounding on the table with every punch. What is Maury going to do as the Klingon diplomat in this situation?
How drunk is the rest of my table?
Very drunk.
And this is what I was saying as we compose our songs of honor. The very best songs are the ones composed as the honor is sought. Come. Now I have already the proper verse forms and how to project. Let us now think of how the fourth verse of the tag of a croc will be sung across the Empire.
Amazing.
And I'm gonna kind of like make great pains to kind of note that Maury is a little bit on the wharfish, kind of chill, quiet, not so much quiet, but not brash and normal. Yeah, that's all gone. So he's really got to be trying to Klingon opera with the rest of the table, and it's probably as good as the worst karaoke you've ever heard, especially given the fact that the drunk Drin don't know Jack. And so the Klingon diplomat is gonna be roaring along and kind of like encouraging the punch for punch or whatever contest this is. And yeah, if there's like verses that we compile as we go, sure, it's gonna be on the record of honor. And yeah, we are going full Klingon diplomacy and he's gonna be hyping up. This is what any species that is part of the Empire or even associated with the Empire can expect. Glory, honor, combat, and the truth of a fist against flesh time and again as we all grow stronger together, as does our honor.
Amazing.
I love it. So, very important role on the Croc's part at this point. I need you to make me a fitness and a security roll, and she will oppose this.
Okay. Is this one of those situations I might be able to use attaché for?
Let me double check attaché real quick.
I don't think this is a social conflict anymore.
Oh, this is definitely involving a foreign culture.
But that's not social. Physical.
So
but it's also
what you
social.
could do is you could spend the 2 momentum to make the advantage that your difficulty would come down from a 1 to a 0. That might matter.
Yeah.
But it's kind of up to you whether you want to use it. It could apply here. It's just that you have to spend the 2 momentum to trigger it.
I mean, I'm okay with it.
Me too, actually.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Look, go for it.
It is a social conflict situation, so
Yeah.
All right.
we're getting to know each other.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so fitness, security.
Difficulty of 0, so you just want to see a
Okay.
bunch of successes here.
Copy.
Mhm.
Let's see. I don't think I have any foci that would apply here, unless you would take composure, potentially arbitration.
I'd actually
Or
give
leadership?
you composure. I could
okay,
give you
cool.
leadership or composure here.
Copy. All right, sweet. Let's do it. Yeah, I mean, I guess we're just gonna I'm gonna use the momentum and threat to go up to 5 die and hope that I succeed and get a lot of momentum back.
Okay, so you're going to go 1 momentum, and then I would get 5 threats. So I actually have enough for a
let's do
board
it.
cube. Fun.
Nice. Let's do it.
That just happens to be the tooth you knock out.
All right, 6 successes.
It's pretty good.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around and I'm going to give 6 threat off the top.
Yeah,
to let her
let's
roll.
go!
I'm going to let her roll 5 dice here.
Let's go!
Okay, that isn't the best, but
Oh.
let's see. Let's expand out that
Definitely
50. That is 5 successes, so you actually are able to beat her with 6 successes.
Nice.
So what's
There
going
you
to
go.
happen is as you slug each other, and you can feel free to define this differently, but at least in my mind, maybe a croc is getting out some of the frustration, maybe the dishonor, but your Klingon soul is elated because you've never sparred with someone like this before. Like, even your best Klingon spar partner has never been able to go this far with you.
Nice.
And eventually, as it's your turn to swing again, as you cock back your fist, Astizia kind of holds up her hands. No more. I yield.
I'll just nod and sit back down without saying a word and continue eating their food. Like,
Kapla! You're like,
Kappa! Like, it was an interesting game.
Well, I suppose now that I hope that your displeasure with how the arena combat went, I hope that I have rectified that problem.
It is a good first step.
Indeed.
I
And
think that Maury's gonna. You know what? Maury's gonna be a drunk and do something and kind of like slush over. It's like, General, you are far too modest. You have not invested their finest not once but twice, and not even but on the field of honor, but in their own personal welcoming feast for you. This has not only been a good day to die, but a good day to make first contact. Astizia, I must say this. The General is a fine warrior amongst our finest, and this, he understates how glorious this speaks to the treasure. Kapla, indeed, this was blood wine well spilled.
I will happily toast you with that one.
We're gonna clink horns or whatever. Our
Yeah.
glasses.
Whatever
Yeah.
their drinking receptacles are.
Yeah.
Anchoreds.
Amazing.
All right. And I think with that clink of blood wine, as the feast is kind of devolves into drunken shenanigans, I think that's where we're going to call today's session.
No.
We'll bring it to a close.
Three-parter.
Three-parter.
So good.
Well,
Yep.
let me ask you this. I mean, we can
Beautiful.
certainly stay with the Drin for another session or two if you all want, or if you all want to move on to something else in Seg 1, we can certainly do that as well. Because, again, now that you're in Seg 1, the galaxy is literally your oyster. You can spend as much time as in one point as you wish.
It's the Herc
Well, we
thing,
definitely
like,
have more to find out.
Yeah.
We definitely have more things to find out about these
Right.
people.
And I think, like, I definitely want to do some more analysis on what their current, what their genetic makeup is, and, kind of see, like, what else we've got. I'm going to also assume, like, we could get some just other general, like, life, like plant life and other such things too before we move on. But
Mhm.
I want to
And the
explore that Herc.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Is that like it just? We got to find out if that's
Technology.
just a contained only to the Drin homeworld, then strictly to them, or is there evidence that the Herc got off the planet after the fact? Does it
Okay.
extend into Seg 1 or?
Well, it
Hmm.
sounds like this is going to be a three-parter then. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we also need to like finalize if there is going to be some sort of relationship. I guess Admiral Zark will do that.
I don't know. I think the fact that you keep beating up
Yeah.
the champion, I think,
True,
I think
yeah.
you're the one that's going to make the terms. at
Yeah,
this
that-
I'm
rate.
about to
true.
say,
Well, I mean, look,
Admiral's just going to be like, yeah, whatever, just rubber stamp it at this point.
Right, yeah.
they're not exactly Jehbui at this point. We haven't subjugated them. We've
Right.
just ascertained their honor.
True.
Yeah, so we're not going for Jexpui at all because we didn't conquer them. So we're going for an alliance here.
Mhm. Which, by the way, I hope
or
you did
uplift.
appreciate the fact that there was a little bit of intrigue and a little bit of subterfuge
Yeah.
there. I was actually kind of worried that you would have like immediately stood up and challenged her to the death. I was a little worried.
I was thinking about it, but not only like do I kind of understand them from a species standpoint. I also only had 6 life, so the player was like, "Wow, I'm not in the best position to fight again, unfortunately."
Die because of the banquet, not during it.
Right. Yeah. But no, I see like it kind of makes sense and tracks with their culture, and I think it's still the idea is that we want to be pals with them. So I think that either way, it's the way that it played out is still a resounding success, and that I think that potentially like a murder duel in a place like this where it's not like open and people are viewing would have then been seen as something bad, right? Like I feel like that could have gone down a worse route. So
Right.
I mean, everybody seemed to be into it, so maybe it's not the first time this has happened.
might potentially, yeah.
Well, we'll just have to learn more about the Drin people next session.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
All right. Well, Twitch, stick around because we're going to raid somebody, but YouTube, this is where we say goodbye. Bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.
Bye.